Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Sarah, head of the office here in Zurich, and I'm here with Natalie, who specialises in permanent recruitment with us. So I want to take a bit of time today to talk through what we're seeing in the markets, in the Swiss markets since our last update, because we've definitely felt that there's been a shift since we made that last update. So what is interesting, I think, is that although there's still some caution in the market, hiring is definitely slowed, but it's become a little bit more strategic and flexible in the way that it's happening. From a temporary perspective, we've seen a real increase in demand, particularly across corporate functions. So I would say HR, business support, operations, and finance. I mean, these are roles that need to scale quickly. But without the necessarily, these are businesses that are looking to scale quickly, but actually they don't want to commit long term. So they're thinking really we can take temporary people on and then look to make them permanent down the line. So this is actually a trend that we're seeing in SEM growth. I would say smaller and mid-sized businesses. We're just seeing them scale, entering new markets or restructuring, but they're doing it carefully. So just taking their time, allowing it to be flexible. Another major trend that I talked about is the temp to perm positions. And there's reasons why companies are doing this. And one of them is to assess the candidate's capability, give them a little bit of time, test a team fit from both perspectives, I would say, and manage the risk before making that permanent commitment. It's not just the temp market that we're seeing this in. I think it aligns broadly with the market behaviour. Businesses are kind of increasing their focus on cost cutting for sure, and agility and how those two things can come together. So overall, the temp market feels busy, but I would say international and changeable at the moment.
That's really interesting. From permanent side, we're seeing a very similar story, but just playing out slightly differently. There is definitely hiring happening, but it's more planned and investment-led rather than reactive. So one of the biggest trends we are seeing is companies relocating or expanding within Switzerland, particularly in Zurich. Zurich continues to be a key hub, not just for finance, but also for tech and professional services and international businesses who are setting up or growing their presence here. So because of that, we're often supporting clients building out entirely new teams, hiring multiple roles at once, or establishing a presence locally. So rather than replacement hiring, it's much more about growth hiring. At the same time, candidates are also being more considered what they're looking for. They're looking for stability, they're looking for strong leadership and a clear direction. So the hiring process on both sides has become more thoughtful.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's the common thread that we're both seeing, I suppose. So whether it's temp or permanent hiring, everything's just been driven by this feel that there's change at the moment. Companies are evolving, and whether that's growth, restructuring, relocation, like you mentioned, and that naturally kind of creates opportunities, yes, but I think uncertainty as well, which is exactly what we explored in the roundtable. So we recently hosted one in our Bahnhofstrasse office. We brought together, I would say, around 10, 12 HR leaders from SMEs through to global organizations. The theme we chose was navigating reorganization, communicating through that uncertainty. It was a popular event, filled out quickly. And one of the most powerful points, I would say, that came across was that reorganization doesn't fail because of strategy. They fail because of how people experience the change. This was a real strong theme throughout the roundtable. And there's actually research behind this. So, for example, 75% of organizational change initiatives fail. And that's often due to poor communication and kind of lack of engagement. So, I mean, only a small proportion of employees at the end of this process feel that the change was communicated clearly. And, everybody at the roundtable highlighted how critical the strategy is, but the communication really is. So especially, I would say, when things are still evolving and not so clear.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges leaders talked about was, how do you communicate when you don't have all the answers yet? So there was a really strong theme around transparency, because when communication is open, anxiety drops significantly, engagement improves, and people are much more likely to stay committed. But at the same time, there's a balance. Too much uncertainty without clarity can also create instability.
Yeah.
So it's about being honest, but also giving people a sense of direction.
Yeah, I would agree. And another big focus was on the managers. So they're often the ones to translate the change, support their teams, and manage performance. This is a lot to juggle. So, but they're often the ones that are least prepared. So we discussed how important it is to equip the managers early, give them the right tools, messaging, support them on the changes that are being announced. But ultimately, they shape how the employees experience that transition.
And finally, we also talked about engagement and retention during change. So because what keeps people in businesses during reorganization isn't just the role itself, it's trust in the leadership, clarity of communication, and feeling included in the process. And when those things are missing, that's when you start to see disengagement and ultimately attrition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, if we bring it all together, what we're seeing in the market is what we're hearing from the HR leaders. And the key theme really is change. And change is constant. But how do organizations handle it, and what really makes the differences? And we saw the businesses that are doing this well are communicating early and honestly, investing in their people, staying flexible on how they hire and how they grow.
Yeah, so if this topic is of interest to you, please reach out on the link below that we've provided, and make sure you receive your copy and the full report, which is going to be launched next week.
Perfect. And it's been lovely to speak with you, Natalie. And thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having our next market update and seeing what the next few months brings.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah. And also thank you to all the guests that have joined as well.